these people are not for us. They're not, their ideas, they may sound like good intentions, but we've seen the results of all of these ideas. Like we can look at places like China, Russia, Cuba, all of these communist environments, and you see that people are dying by the masses. So if you have someone over here who has those same ideas, and like I said, they've dressed it up real nice. They put a nice little bow on it, have you all excited, have you all emotional and all these things, but behind the scenes, they're setting up for destruction. What is going on, everyone's? We are here and we are back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. And my name is Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stalker.
Yes, and we'd like to say thank you, like we always do. Thank you to everyone who tunes into our content. We appreciate every one of y'all. And if you're getting the value, like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff, because it helps us grow. And we're trying to get our message and these conversations out to as many people as possible. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the episode, which is going to be...
We're just having a conversation.
Straight up. So, over the past, I think it was last week. Was it last week? Last week, we watched 2 documentaries. One was... what was the name of it?
Well, they were both Uncle Tom 1 and Uncle Tom 2.
Yes, by my boy Chad O. Jackson.
Hey.
Shout out to Chad. That boy gives a lot of good information, things that make your mind wonder, things that make you want to say, And yeah, so on these 2 documentaries, he was talking about the systems behind the system that are confusing people into believing certain ideologies. So what is happening is you have a bunch of people who are the face of something, but they're not really the brains behind the operation. And he was talking about how that's how the government has been working since probably the beginning of the time.
He wasn't saying the government. Like he believes like in the government and working and everything. It's just these political parties, but these political platforms who come like the NAACP, like the ACLU, like Black Lives Matter, like what else is there? There are a lot of organizations that are...
Even the Black Panthers.
Yes, that was one. The Black Panthers, yeah. Pan-Africanism, which was Marcus Garvey, What I said, the ACLU, the SCLC, which was a Martin Luther King's group. I know it. I know. But these groups were not really for what it is that we think they were for. And so we have read a lot of things. I think this is how we have become bamboozled and brainwashed, because we have read it. We talk about the public school system and how the public school system is not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm going to let you know it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. With also through textbooks, you wonder why. Well, why isn't this history being placed into the textbooks? Because there's a certain part of history that they want you to keep repeating, right? Why do we know Martin Luther King Jr. so well, but we don't know Booker T. Washington so well?
And even with that, we know who he is, but we don't know all
the backstory.
The
is what I'm saying. We know
to...
civil rights, and then we know that every year it is the I Have a Dream speech. I don't think they have taught children to read his works, like all his books. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have taught children to read his other speeches, read some of his other sermons. It's just this one thing.
That one speech.
Right. And so we look at why is that being taught?
Pushed.
Right. There was outrage. I'm just going to say this. There was outrage about Christopher Columbus and what he did. And then it was this narrative of, oh, you're colonizers or you're taking over. Well, the groups that I named, those groups, the faces of them that were created, they were created by, I'm going to say white men and women, but they were usually foreign people who came from, Romania or Russia, or they were foreigners, but they were able to come to the United States and push the agenda of what they were what was done in their countries, and push the agenda here in the United States of America.
And they're real smart because they realized that in order to get a certain kind of people, you had to get the face of that of that ideology to match.
Yes.
The demographic of people that you're trying to reach.
Like if you look, we're saying about the Black movement groups, but if you look at the Hispanic movement groups that were going on, like the Si Se Puede, Yes We Can, that, and they have to think whose slogan was that in 2008? Yes We Can.
Yeah.
So that's a socialism thing. That is that's one of their things. We can make this change. But Si Se Puede was a socialist group as well. So they were fighting, and like there's these tactics which we were learning in Uncle Tom too, where communists will use what was his name? Saul Alinsky. He was like an organizer who was like, here's what you do when you are in their presence. This is how you do this. This is what you're going to do.
He had a whole blueprint as to how to do and what to do in order to make the people move.
And in order to make our leaders, our presidents look bad, where we're looking at, I'm going to say Trump, for example, and you're like, he's a racist, but there is a way that socialists, communists, Marxists, whatever they call themselves, that they work the crowd and be like, yeah, he's a racist, right?
They
and
play
so
off your emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is so interesting because then you see that you really don't see it with the Democratic Party, right? You don't see it. And so it's so interesting. I was like, you don't see protesters
they playing the game that we ain't never seen before.
And so I was like, this is so interesting. And so these people, I mentioned Saul, his name is Saul Alinsky. It was this woman who the founder of the NAACP is Mary White Ovington, and a man named Henry Moskowitz. So they were the founders, and then there was a whole bunch, and you probably see the face of the NAACP as you know, is W.E.B. Du Bois or Du Bois. I do not know how to pronounce his last name correctly.
That boy.
But you would see him as the face of it. But behind it, like Brandon was saying, behind the scenes, who started it was a person who did not look like you and I. It was somebody else.
The idea didn't even come from someone like you and I.
Oh,
but
absolutely not.
They like I say, they smart. So they know in order for y'all to pay attention, I got to get something that looks like y'all, because we're so stuck on representation matters, regardless of credentials or merit or any of those values. We got these blinders on, and we see black, and it's like, okay, I'm going for that. But we have like we were saying, these people are not for us. They're not. Their ideas, they may sound like good intentions, but we've seen the results of all of these ideas. Like we can look at places like China, Russia, Cuba, all of these communist environments, and you see that people are dying by the masses. So if you have someone over here who has those same ideas, and like I said, they've dressed it up real nice. They put a nice little bow on it, have you all excited, have you all emotional and all these things, but behind the scenes, they're setting up for destruction.
The one that I hadn't mentioned is Black Lives Matter. Behind that, in front of it, we see 3 black women. But behind the scenes, it is a man named Eric Mann who founded the Black Lives Matter. And he is an organizer. He is a socialist organizer, Marxist organizer. And he trained those 3 women to play with our emotions. And
Exactly.
we went off of, we're black. Yeah, my Black Lives Matter. He got his knee on his neck and all these things.
Him not even being a part of the culture per se was savvy enough to realize who to target, how to target them, and to be very successful with it, because we've seen the Candace Owens where they had I think they raised over $90 million or something like that. And that money was never tracked to anything black.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Right. Absolutely. They were buying houses and
houses. A lot
whatever.
of the stuff was going to their communities.
Right.
And none of that money benefited even George Floyd. And I'm not a George Floyd fan or whatever, but they couldn't even track. That's where it came out of. It came out of George Floyd, and that's when Black Lives Matter started booming.
Right.
And none of that money benefited his family. So they have these motives. They have the people who are behind the faces. They have all of these things that are already planned out, and we're just not savvy enough. I don't want to say smart.
I don't even think it's about savvy or being smart. I think it's because we have trusted in, okay, I guess I will say the government. We have trusted in the government fully, right? And the government is not, I believe in the government. This is what I'm going to say. I believe in what the Constitution was written for is it should do what it's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
But when you have
human beings,
right, who are targeting the vulnerable, because what have we been taught? You have a dream, you want more. We haven't got enough, but I'm like, what don't we have enough? What is enough? What haven't we reached? How haven't we reached? We have black doctors
I'm scared of those people
things.
who always want more.
What are you willing to give up to have more? And then you look at these people who are a part of these organizations, who started these organizations. What did you do to sell your soul? Like, and that's how I feel. You sold your soul. Like, why do you want? Because initially, y'all, to be Marxist, the communist, the socialist, a fascist, like a part of you does not care for human beings.
And it's crazy because not too long ago, I had no clue what any of these were. So I can't even blame black people because I fell for it as well.
That's what I'm saying. We were indoctrinated. Yeah. I'm saying the public school system is doing exactly. The government has, and so how this goes, and when we say, and I'm going to make this point, because the school system is not rigged against black people. I'm going to say that. Because if it were just rigged against black people, then all children would be able to read and do all other children would be able to read. Yeah. They would not be illiterate, right? So this but the school system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. This was by a man named John Dewey, who went to Prussia and observed the Prussian army and how they were preparing for war, how they made their soldiers little soldiers. Like this is what they had, bells ringing. So if you've been to schools, you know how bells ring. You go to your next class. It's about control. How can I control this person? Order. Yes. Yeah. Control and order. How can I control this person? All right. We're going to write these textbooks and we're going to take God out of school. We're not going to pray. Because that what you do, you're going to do that at home. We're not going to have that. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about social justice, because what is social justice, right? Now we're going to talk about civil rights, and we're going to force integration on people, because this is not what we want. Like, there was a whole thing, and you're looking at it and it's like, well, it's not so bad, but it is bad, because we've been indoctrinated to think that this is okay. I have to send my child to school because they're going to get the best education, which is not true.
No, it's not.
It's not the truth. Y'all, this is what the system was set up to do. And I'm not saying that because I'm homeschooling. I'm saying it because I've read it. I'm saying it because there is a book called The Mass Incarceration, hold on, it's not mass incarceration, but it's a guy named John Taylor Gatto. He was a public school teacher. And so he wrote, he saw what was happening. He was like a school teacher for 30 years. And so he saw what was happening And
that's the guy that quit, ain't it?
Yes, and he quit. He wrote this article, and it's called "Weapons of Mass Instruction." I was way wrong, but also, if you're interested, read "Dumbing Us Down." I read "Dumbing Us Down" every year just to refresh, because why would they want to dumb us down?
They want you just smart enough to be able to be a worker and follow instructions, but they want you just dumb enough to not question the narrative of why I'm doing this. And we just do it.
And that's one of the things, one of my fellow homeschool mamas, Shelly, Miss Shelly, but she always, when I started watching, she would always say, question the narrative. And I didn't understand. I had no idea. I was just like, hey, I'm going to buy these books, and I was real hard on like Black history. We're going to do Black history. And I started questioning things like, why this doesn't make sense.
It's not lining up.
And so that's when you start looking at things, and then you dive deeper into other things. Okay, well, let me read this. And then you just start wondering, okay, that's why them children act like that. That's why, this is, we talk about the, what is it? The school to the pipeline, the school to the prison pipeline system. Yeah. Like what is it, and why aren't we changing? And it's because we are following behind these groups, and we do not fully understand what it is that they are doing. With the fist up, a lot of movements and the riots, you have the fist
Black
up.
Power.
It's Black Power. What I was saying about
Power to the people.
The Si Se Puede, they were having their hands up. The Black Panther Party.
It's a lot of the same hand movements.
That is, and you have and Uncle Tom too, when the documentary where they were talking about how regular people just can't march. These are rich people. These are rich children, rich college students who have money, who are able to go out and march and make it seem, and make this spectacle, and make it seem to the person who's watching it on television. Because
everyday Joe got to go to work.
Absolutely.
He can't miss no money because it's hard. Like you said, it's a whole bunch of rich kids who they've already began to indoctrinate since they were little, and now they're little mini soldiers for the cause.
And one of the people who was doing this is Kamala Harris. She says that her parents were civil rights activists. Now, what do civil rights activists do?
Her father was also a Marxist.
See, but she said, this is what I've done. This is what I've been in. This is what I've been trained to do.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Barack Obama, some of the people that he knew and
Communists.
who were Martin Luther King Jr., the people who were writing for him, like Bayard Rustin. I can't think of the other guy's name. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But he was as well. So you have W.E.B. Du Bois. If you Google him, it says he was a socialist. And then it also...
And an atheist.
Yes, he did not believe in God. So a lot of these people, they did not believe in God. Maya Angelou, she liked to hang out. She liked Fidel Castro. So that, I didn't know. And I was like, Maya Angelou thing. And I'm just naming some names because it's coming off the top of my head, because we are reading their books. Alice Walker, because I thought of The Color Purple, right? Like, what is the narrative that they are giving us? Are they giving us something where we can learn and be like, okay, I understand? Or is it hey, you need to follow what I'm doing because shut
up and follow what I'm doing. Right. Don't ask no questions.
And so, I think it was Maya Angelou though who said, when people tell you who they are, believe them. Yeah. And so we have a lot of these activists, I would call them activists, who are telling us who they are. And it starts with Karl Marx. I've talked about the Communist Manifesto, but it starts with him, his idea of this utopia of classlessness, of,
dethroning Jesus.
Right. Like,
so they figured with for those who don't know what these terms are, Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist, it's all kind of similar. They all believe in We don't need a God. There's no such thing as God. We are the gods.
No government.
No government.
No.
All
government.
More government, less freedom.
Right.
They want to be able to take away all the classes so everybody's on the same playing field.
And if you look at, because you're saying no classes, if you look at India has a caste system, right? So that means like when you watch these documentaries and stuff and you see the Indians on the, like, there is no class. They don't have the rich, the middle class, or the poor. There's a caste system, right? So, I mean, we talk about around the world, like even if you look at Africa is a country that is part of socialism. Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela, these people were connected to people who are like totalitarianism, right? We want to rule the world. We watch movies about this Globalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want everything to be straight across the board. There's no high class, low class, but I don't see how that works, because you need all classes of people in order for things to work.
And we see and I don't think we see it because we're not open to seeing it. That opens us up to slavery. And how does that lead to that? Well, because we're saying, well, the government will do what we needed to do if we make sure that we are making these people who are supposed to work for us do what they're supposed to do. But as long as we keep giving in to them, or as long as we keep saying, I will vote straight ticket, I will vote because you are black, that will be the destruction of who we are as America. And
we don't even see.
And I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm just saying, like,
we're not even listening or paying enough attention to the words that these people are using, because you have people like Camilla, however you say her name, Camilla.
They ain't that close to mine now. Kamala.
Anyway, you have people like her who are saying things like, if it doesn't, when week one of my presidency, I'm gonna do this, and if the Congress doesn't do it, I'm gonna do it on my own.
And that's illegal, because
first off, that's illegal.
It's illegal. Can't do that with the Constitution.
Then that is a socialistic ideology, because I'm saying, forget what the government says. Forget what the people. Forget checks and balance. Yeah. Forget what anybody thinks. I'm gonna do this because this is what I want. And those are the type of ideas. Those are the underlining ideas of all of these people who are behind the scenes. They want more government. They want you to have a whole lot less freedoms. And they're brainwashing us, because they're telling us these things in so many words. But on the other hand, they're telling us that the other side is doing that. And we have to wake up. We have to wake up and realize that the people, they talk a good game. Man. They talk a real good game. But if you realize what they're saying is connected to certain ideologies, then you can start looking back in history and see where these things were in play in other places, and see the results of those ideologies.
Yes.
And that's where we need to be at, because they can tell us whatever they want to right now today, but there's nothing new under the sun. Ain't that how the saying go? Something like that. But anyway, all of this stuff has been done before. There's no new ideas. Right. They're just new presentations of the idea. So once we figure out what it is, go a little deeper, read in between the lines of what these people are saying, all of this equity, that means I'm gonna take from the people who work hard, and I'm gonna give it to the people who don't work hard. And that's happening right now, because we're paying taxes money for people who don't work, and they're being paid essentially more than we are, because we have more responsibility with houses and cars. But these people are doing nothing with their lives, but are getting the same things that others are getting. That goes into doggone immigration. All of these, I want to move these people in, because I know they'll remember me when it comes time for me to need them.
Right.
They'll be like, oh, he did this, this, and this for me. And that's the whole game. If I do enough for you when I need you, you'll show up for me. And that's the game that's being played. It's just being played. We got to stop playing checkers. These people out here playing Chinese chess on us, and we need to get our minds right. We got to research, and all the people who are telling you contrary to what you see to be true, don't pay them no mind, because there's people like that all over the place.
You know, and like, I'm not even gonna say it's easy to get on this on camera and say these things, because this is hard, because you're coming to the reality of, oh man, and I'm reading it, and then you understand the verbiage of things, like the language of what is being said. Like one of the things is about racism, social justice. So it's like that. What is social justice? Equality.
DEI.
There's DEI, whatever the other one is. But there's no such thing as equality. None of us will ever be equal, because God didn't make us equal in that. And I think also that's what has helped me on this journey of understanding. When you read the Bible and like open up your heart and take in the word of the Lord, and then you start looking at things, he will open your eyes up to things that don't align with him. And a lot of what is happening here in America, it does not align with what he is saying. You see commercials that are troubling. You hear commercials that are troubling. You are seeing people who...
We're getting a whole lot more loose.
Yeah, and it's,
with the lips, the actions, everything, all the way across the board, we're getting real loose.
And it's like people and people are beginning to show their true colors, and it's just like you don't like what I'm saying. Okay, that is fine. I get it. Because I don't think if I was 5 years ago, I would have liked what I was saying either, because that's not true. That's not true. Yeah. That's not true.
They lying. But I have no reason. Look at them Uncle Toms.
I'm anti-black. I have no reason to lie. And I'm trying to do as much research as I can and to inform you, because if I feel like I would be a coward if I don't let you know what it is that I'm learning.
At least provide you the information,
and then
whether
go
you take it.
Right.
And that's on you.
Go look for yourself,
yeah.
Because just Google NAACP founder and WB will pop up. But
dig a little deeper
on who that
look
is.
At them pictures up under the WE, that boy.
It's a whole slew of them,
yeah.
Right? And learn the history of these people. Go back to the character, the morals, and the values. And the values are showing on what they wanted for the United States of America, and that is destruction. And how are they How are we losing America? Because we are believing the lie, and you don't even love you don't even love the place where you were born because of what somebody told you to think.
Yeah, and
that's a problem.
They make you mad. You want to tear something up.
You go destroy things, but you won't build it up.
But you building up. You really good at Bob the Destroyer, but Bob the Builder, hey. Like
that should be eye-opening, and that might have been what was eye-opening to me as well. I mean, reading my Bible and just looking at society and saying, there's something not right with this picture. Mm-hmm. There's something not right.
You will go down a rabbit hole of right information. And all you gotta do is look. It'll one piece of information will lead you to the next. And like I say, it's that rabbit hole. You'll find a bunch of information that you have never been taught, never heard. It'll be a lot of that information once you start digging a little deeper.
And I think you also have to, real quick, just let go of what you think you are. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're independent, let go of that and start living by like God and your values and your characters, and see what will happen to you. And watch Uncle Tom and Uncle Tom 2. And if you know why I like it, because Chad, but Uncle Tom was not the villain in the book, and he didn't turn his back on whatever you think. I would read Uncle Tom's
It's Sambo that you trying to insult people with. It ain't Uncle Tom. But yeah, like she said, we urge y'all all our followers,
It's
all
on,
our listeners.
It's on Tubi.
Yeah.
It's on Tubi.
Uncle Tom and Uncle Tom 2.
Yeah, check out Chad, because it's like my brother.
Straight up, from another mother.
From another mother.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Hopefully y'all got a little bit of information out of this episode. That's what we're trying to do, spread the knowledge, enlighten people, open your eyes to new things and new ideas. And if you get any of that, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. But like always, it's love, peace, and soul.
Bye.
Like Soul Train, baby. Chip.